Now let's talk about the global baby bust. It's a story you can set your watch by. Every few weeks there is a new report or data telling us that birth rate is falling in a country. It is too low to sustain economic growth. Despite the best efforts of governments, it has been hard to reverse. Recently, this demographic doom has been pegged to China. In 2023, its population fell for a second consecutive year. Now, a new report is out. It says China is one of the most expensive countries to raise a child. Cost of childcare is about 6 times its GDP per capita. 6 times. Why is the cost so high in China? How does it compare to other countries? Is childcare cost the reason behind China's falling fertility rate? And what is China trying to do to fix it? Why are they failing to fix it? Our next report tells you.
Having children is expensive, no matter where in the world you live. But if you live in China, the situation is dire. The world's second largest economy also has the second highest cost of childcare, only behind South Korea. Here, an average parent spends about $75,000 to raise a child from birth to age 18. If the child goes to college, as most of them do, because let's face it, this is China we're talking about, then the cost obviously rises. Parents shell out about $95,000 to support a child from birth to a bachelor's degree. If we put this in relative terms, the numbers are shocking. The cost of raising a child until they're 18 is around 6.3 times the per capita GDP in China. Meaning people spend about 6 times their total disposable income on child rearing. Compare this with other nations. It's 4.2 times in Japan, 4.1 times in America, 2.2 times in France, and 2.08 times in Australia. All these nations are struggling with the population crisis, so their childcare costs aren't great either. Yet China is the reigning champion among them. And the world runners-up, like we said earlier, South Korea, has the highest cost of child rearing. It is 7.7 times the GDP per capita. Meanwhile, South Korea also has the lowest fertility rate in the world. Do you see the connection here? A high cost of childcare is directly linked to a low birth rate in the nation, which is why the sleeping giant is facing a rude awakening. In 2023, China's population fell for the second consecutive year. The number of births fell to about 9 million. That's half the number from 2016. But the question remains, why is the cost of childcare so high in China? It's mainly due to the cost of education, which is high from the get-go. Preschool services in China are mostly private. Therefore, they charge big bucks. This high cost persists till the child goes to college. The tuition in China may sound cheaper than that in America, but there is a key difference. In many Western countries, a student loan provided by the state is much more common. In China, though, the burden usually lies with the parents. Now, China has brought a number of measures to boost its birth rate. In 2017, it abandoned the decades-old one-child policy. Now, it encourages women to have up to 3 children. The government is throwing money at the problem as well, like giving cash subsidies for more children or discounts on IVF. Policymakers are taking the superstitious route too. This is the lunar year of the dragon. So governments are urging people to have so-called dragon babies. But so far, the government has made little dent. The birth rate is stubbornly falling because China is missing the point. It's not prioritizing childcare costs. If policymakers want a bigger population, they should do more for those who want kids, like cash, tax and housing subsidies, educational reform, and equal maternity and paternity leave. Because as long as China has such high fertility costs, it will continue to be among the countries with the lowest fertility rate.
As the world feels the shock of wars, India stands as a beacon of strength. The Firstpost Defence Summit 2024 will showcase cutting-edge technologies, forging partnerships between industry, academia and research organizations. Witness the transformative story of India's defence sector. Firstpost Defence Summit 2024.